Despite the name, this cocktail is definitely not suitable for kids. Let me show you how to make a baby's first bourbon. Welcome back to the channel. I'm Matt, I'm the Whiskey Nerd, and like I said, today I'm making a cocktail that, despite the name, is not suitable for kids. I'm making a baby's first bourbon, and this is actually a really nice, simple, easygoing cocktail. It's only got a couple of ingredients, it's easy enough to make up, and it's got a really nice kind of depth of flavor that I think works really well. It is, as the name might imply, a bourbon-based cocktail, and this here is the Townbrance Straight Bourbon Whiskey. If you want to see a review of this bourbon, I'll put a link up there, I'll put a link down below, because it's a nice, solid, kind of bourbon whiskey. It's nothing amazing and super special, but it's also not a bad whiskey. It has a really nice kind of bourbon forward flavor, as you'd imagine from a straight bourbon whiskey, but it's not dominating and overpowering. That'll be the only thing you can taste in a cocktail. This cocktail also has some lemon juice and some Orgeat, which is like a kind of an almond sugar syrup, basically. That's kind of what you can think of it as. It's a little bit different, but it's kind of like that. A little bit of nuttiness, like there's a little bit of nuttiness in the bourbon. It works really well together and just kind of ties it all together with a bit of sweetness. And lastly, it's going to have some angostura bitters to round it all out and just keep it nice and balanced. And I think that's enough time talking about the cocktail. I think it's time we make it. It's going to be a shake and drink, so we're going to get our shaker tin and we're going to pop a nice rock of ice into there before we measure out our ingredients. Starting off with our Orgeat, we're going to go in with 22.5 ml or 3/4 of an ounce, just into there. Pop that in there, and because this is kind of thick of a sugar syrup, I'm going to be using a little bit of my lemon juice to kind of wash out the ingredients and make sure I get everything into there. So that was 3/4 an ounce, again 3/4 an ounce of lemon, and I'm going to go in with my bourbon. Like I said, nice, simple, straightforward enough bourbon. So we're going to go in with 60 ml or 2 ounces of my bourbon into there, just like that. And then for our bitters, we're going to go in with angostura bitters. Angostura bitters are just like the classic kind of salt and pepper, using in so many cocktails to add a nice bit of depth, a nice bit of flavor. We're going to go in with 4 dashes of angostura bitters. So it's 1, 2, 3, 4 into there. It is kind of like a lot, but because you're not using a lot of other ingredients, this helps you get a nice kind of depth of flavor into there. So I'm going to bang the top on our shaker tin, shake it away for about 30 seconds to get it really nice and cold. Okay, I think that is nicely chilled now, so I'm going to bang the top off my shaker tin and get ready to strain it out. I'm going to be straining it out into a nice rocks glass with another fresh rock of ice into there. So I'm going to pop my strainer up top just to catch that ice and pour it away just like that. Oh yes. And then for a garnish, what we're going to do is we're going to get a little lemon zest, express the oils over the top, kind of rub them around there just like that, give it a little twist, pop it on the edge, and that right there is a baby's first bourbon. Now real quick before I taste this cocktail, if you're new here, scroll down, hit that thumbs up button, hit that subscribe button. I put out whiskey reviews like the review of that Townbrance Bourbon every Wednesday, and I put out cocktail recipes featuring whiskey like this every Friday. So if you want to see more, make sure you're subscribed, and while you're down there, leave me a comment and say what kind of cocktails you think I should make in future, because I'm always on the lookout for new recipes. But let's taste this one. Cheers. The garnish is not needed, because that's a very tasty cocktail. Like, the name of the cocktail, Baby's First Bourbon, is I think pretty appropriate because it's not super complicated. Like, it's only got a couple of ingredients, and the flavor of it isn't actually super complicated. Yes, there's a nice balance of flavors in there. There's the angostura, which doesn't overpower. There's the bourbon, the orange, the lemon, and the Orgeat. And it's nice. It's one of those cocktails that if you're not used to drinking bourbon, if you're not used to drinking like a bourbon forward cocktail, this would be something that you could probably enjoy a lot of, because it's just nicely balanced. It's got a nice bit of flavor, got a nice kind of roundness to it, but you still get that bourbon core flavor. Like, if you've never drunk bourbon before, you could taste this, enjoy it, and then when you get to bourbon, you'd be enjoying it. So it's one of those cocktails that's nice and simple, very easy to whip up. You could make like a batch of these, because again, it's just simple ingredients. There's no egg white or anything like that you have to work on for a foam. You could even just leave these in a pitcher in a fridge, serve them over ice. Perfect, easy, baby's first bourbon. So I'm going to keep on enjoying it, and I'll see you next time. Sláinte.